So the first question is, you said there were three things that caused you concern about the way Maricopa County handled the records request. One of them was
tonight.
You said earlier that there were three things that disturbed you. One of them was that they had records subpoenaed, and they backed up some of the information to a server before they turned over information, and thus that information.
Before they did not turn over.
Yeah, before they turned over what they had that they hadn't backed up, and they didn't. They left out that stuff that they backed up.
Right.
Yeah. So the question is, did they ever produce that information at a later time?
Not yet, to my knowledge.
So to your knowledge, they've never produced that backed up information.
Correct.
And although it still exists.
Right.
Has anybody requested it again?
I don't know if the Senate has requested it. I hope they have. But,
all right. So how is it, if you don't know whether or not the Senate has requested it again, but you believe and they represent that information still exists, why is that a concern? I mean, in a discovery process, things get overlooked. The judge goes, the plaintiff goes to the judge and says, well, you should have gotten this. I should have gotten this. Why don't you order him to give us that information? And then the information is produced. That happens all the time in litigation.
Right.
So why is that of special concern here?
No, it was a concern as to why they didn't give that information during the audit. Now that the audit's been, quote, completed and the report was given to the Senate, I don't know if the Senate has thought it important enough to re-request that information or not.
Yeah. I've heard several times people who have spoken about the audit process that the Cyber Ninjas ran, cite this, they backed it up and they didn't produce it. Andy Biggs in Congress was talking about this as if it were a big scandal, that it proved something. Does it prove anything?
It proves that they were lying for 4 months during the audit when they said we didn't delete anything.
Well, no, they didn't delete anything. They backed it up. They didn't delete anything.
No, he said they deleted
it off the server and put it on another server where it was backed up. That's what they said.
But when they gave us the server from which they had deleted the information, and the auditors said I think it was the July 15th hearing, that we found evidence that they deleted something off the server, the county said, no, we didn't delete anything off the server. They've said that for 4 months, and then finally, on October 9th, whenever we were in front of Congress, he admits, yes, we did delete stuff from the server.
Isn't it a bit of a stretch to call that a lie as opposed to an oversight?
If the auditors said, we have found evidence that something was deleted a few days before from the server, a few days before it was given to the Senate, and the county says, no, that didn't happen, no, we didn't delete anything, and they say that for weeks and weeks and months, and then at a hearing in Congress, they said, yeah, we did delete some stuff off of the server before we gave you the server, but we think that's okay because we had saved it in our
also the testimony
archives.
Said, the testimony also said that was perfectly standard procedure. That was, they were following the routine procedure of the office in moving that information to the backup server. Why didn't they tell us that in May? Because they overlooked it. How is that a lie?
The auditors asked. The auditors had a hearing in front of the Senate and said, we can see that something was deleted from the server a few days before they gave it to us. And Maricopa County tweeted out, we didn't delete anything. That has to be a lie when you admit 3 months later that, yes, we did delete some things, but we think it's okay that we deleted things from the servers that we gave you because we had saved it in our archives that we didn't give you.
But yet Cyber Ninjas in the Senate have not, as far as you know, felt it to be that information to be important enough to actually go ahead and subpoena it again and make sure it's produced.
Well, they just heard about it a week ago at the congressional hearing.
All right.
I mean, the county just admitted a week ago that for 4 months they were not telling the truth, that they did in fact delete things from the servers that they gave to the Senate a few days before they gave it.
So are you going to bring that up with Karen Fann?
Well, she heard it. She knows about it. If she wants to. I don't run Karen Fann. I don't control Karen.
Well, you are the Senate liaison with the audit. I mean, I'm sure she listens to you.
Yes, but she already knows that we have.
So as far as you know, she hasn't done anything?
I don't know.
All right. Yeah. So, but as far as you know, she hasn't done anything about it. All right. Another thing that you said was of concern was common usernames and passwords on some of the equipment.
Election equipment.
Yeah. So I want to clarify what you mean by that, because common has two possible meanings. One, common is like my password, my username is username and my password is password123. That's common, like a default or a really commonly used one, which is insecure and could be open to intrusion. Or common could mean it's shared between multiple people.
I meant shared.
Okay, so more than one person was using the same login and password.
Yeah.
Okay. Does everybody in your household have like separate email addresses?
No, but we don't conduct elections at the Bennett house.
Yeah, but does it mean that your email is insecure because more than one person has the password?
No, it just means that it makes it untraceable if something happens.
So why are you suggesting that that's a security problem just because more than one employee was sharing a username and login and password?
Because state law says you're not supposed to use. State law says you're supposed to use unique usernames and passwords.
Okay.
And if questions arise as to who deleted something or who did something without unique usernames and passwords,
you wouldn't be able to follow up and determine who exactly did that. So does that's clearly a violation of state law. I mean, it's due to laziness, obviously.
Yeah.
But my question is, does it really compromise the security of the election in any way?
May or may not.
I mean, have you found anything where something was deleted or manipulated or anything, and you were unable to trace who it was because of the common passwords and logins?
They can't. Yes, they aren't able to identify who deleted the data files a few days before they gave them to the Senate.
But they did testify in Congress that was a normal routine thing. So presumably they deleted those files from one server and backed them up onto another before they turned it over to the Senate. And so wouldn't that be a question of whose job that is?
They also testified that they deleted the files to make room for this year's election, to which I think Mr. Biggs asked, well, if you're trying to make room on the server for this year's election data, why did we find previous year's election data on the server? And he didn't have I think Gates said that he'd have to check and find out why they left previous year's data on the servers when they said that they had to delete to make room for this year's data.
So maybe Maricopa should buy them bigger hard drives?
I don't know.
All right, what was, and sorry, I just can't recall, what was the third thing that you said was of concern to you, that when you were going over the report and you had questions and concerns that arose as being substantive issues that needed to be dealt with in terms of the election security there in Maricopa County. One was the common passwords and usernames. The other one was
the churned files.
Churned files. So what does that mean, churned files?
The file in which the record of who gets into the computer and asks the computer to do some activity.
So the user log.
The user log. Yeah, I'm not a techie guy. So the file that keeps the user log is a definitive size, and
so older ones fall off the end of those.
So the older ones fall off.
Yeah.
And sometime just before data was turned over to the Senate, someone did a script that caused 37,000 identical questions or something to be entered into the system, and so 37,000 identical answers were created, and that knocked 37,000.
So is it your contention that somehow that process that was run was nefarious and had some purpose of covering evidence?
I'm just repeating no. There's no evidence of that. It's just that the auditors found that the same script was run 37,000 times. It created the same answer.
Did the county give any kind of explanation?
No.
Yes, I'm too sorry.
No. To my knowledge, they've never really said why they.
I'm gonna have to steal them from you.
Okay, this is the last question.
To my knowledge, I don't think the county's ever said that there was a reason for that. So I'm just
So it's a
repeating what.
baseless suspicion to cast aspersions on them for churning the logs, which seems like, a purposeful thing to do to hide evidence, when in fact you don't know why that was done.
Don't know why that was done, but
So what I would ask you is maybe you stop casting aspersions on
I'm not
people.
casting aspersions. I'm just repeating what the auditor said they observed.
But you have a lot of credibility.
Excuse me, Mr.
People
Bennett,
listen to you.
May I
And
interrupt?
so
I need to
I
say
would
good night.
suggest that you use that credibility
I'm
wisely.
trying to use that by
you
being
did
here
that
tonight.
today. You did that today in response to my questions, but just in your presentations in the future, I'd ask that you maybe give those fuller explanations rather than just saying things that sound suspicious.
Thank you.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. Thank you.
I just wanted